Hey, if you've had pretty privilege like your whole life, can you stitch this and tell me like what your worldview is? Like, do you think that people are really nice? Because I just recently got like a degree of pretty privilege, and it has been insane how kind people are when they find you attractive. And it is very hurtful, I'll tell you that much. People who literally wouldn't even look at me before now like, or they go out of their way to be kind to me, and I'm like, hey, like that's cool, good for me, because now I'm privileged. But like, what is it? Like, it's not even their fault. It's probably like a completely subconscious thing, or unconscious, or I don't know, whatever. But like, rude. Hey, if you've had pretty privilege like your whole life, can you stitch this and
Yes, girl, let's talk about it because it needs to be talked about. Okay, so let me get my credentials out of the way really quickly. A few years ago, I looked like this. Now I look like this, and that has given me the power to experience both the best and the worst that pretty privilege has to offer. Also, not to go super psychological on y'all, at 9 o'clock in the morning, look up the halo effect on Google and learn more about this. So now let's talk about what pretty privilege actually looks like. It's little subtle things that you wouldn't notice before. So for example, not being charged for that extra drink or dessert at a restaurant, having someone offer to put the air in your tires rather than see you struggle doing it. And you can tell me like, oh my God, Kelsey, like maybe people are just good, or maybe they're just doing a good deed. And I'm okay, I'm with you, they're doing a good deed, but why didn't they do that good deed when I was 257 pounds, huh? Why did all of a sudden all these good deeds start happening to me the moment I look like this? Because I went from like one good deed happening to me to a year to 10 of them happening to me in a week. That's not a coincidence, I'm sorry.
Tell me you have pretty privilege without actually telling me that you have pretty privilege.
Fun fact, actually a really dystopian fact that is maybe supposed to be a secret, but whatever. There is this network of apps that are essentially beauty passes. So if you're a model or just like a pretty girl or an influencer, you can apply to get in. They're like exclusive, so not everyone gets accepted, but you apply to get in. And if you get in, there's a shit ton of businesses, restaurants, like massages, facials, lip injections, makeup, clothes, whatever, haircuts, everything, yoga classes, Pilates, everything that you can get for free just if you like tag them on an Instagram story. So if you follow models that post like Joe and the Juice and Pilates on their story every single day, they're not paying for that.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
The only reason why my ex-best friend didn't get kidnapped is because they didn't want to kidnap me too.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
Well, you see, there's this boy, and I got in a little tiff over TikTok for him not doing his project. And after our verbal transaction, it really wasn't verbal on his behalf, he just made a follow-up video to it. He blew the hell up, and when I say blew the hell up, he blew the hell up, hanging out with Tana Mojo, Larry, in the Sway house, all cool with the Sway boys. Granted, he did have a much larger following count than I did, 250K, in comparison of 69 people following me. But I just want to say, after not doing his project, that boy is over 1 million followers now. And I'm over here vibing, but I'm loving every moment.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
The only time somebody has ever asked me out was as a joke. Yep.
I want to start off by saying that I acknowledge that pretty privilege is real. I want to give you my perspective. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, but also, I am not a victim. I'm not claiming to be a victim. I just want you to know that there are two sides of the story. This is my perspective. You meet a guy, super cool, super nice. Most of the time it's bullshit. You can never actually have like an intimate conversation without anything getting sexual. Like, he's never gonna really get to know who I am. It always turns sexual. And that is not enough for me. It will never be enough for me. Nothing is ever soul deep. Nobody wants to know your dreams, your hopes, your traumas. They don't give a shit. You're just something nice to look at. And you feel like that. You feel like you will never be enough. It's gone as far to where I wanted to catfish the opposite, to get to know somebody with no picture and then meet them later. So that's my perspective.
So I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about pretty privilege, and if you don't know what that is, that's basically just someone who is being treated better just because they're seen as more attractive in society, and it's a really toxic concept, but it's there and it's real. So I want to know a story of when you found out you had pretty privilege. For me, it was when I realized I literally got every single job I've ever applied for, even if that meant I was underqualified. My first job was literally in the mall, and it was when I was 15, and I worked at Champs, which is like a shoe store, and you had to be 16 to work there, 16 and over, but somehow I finessed them and I started working there at 15. From there, I worked at other retail places, and then I went to O'Reilly's, which I only applied to because it's like down the street from my house, and I ended up getting the job and worked there for over a year. I don't know anything about cars, so yeah.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
I've been waiting to tell this story for so long. So in this story, when I'm talking about pretty privilege, I'm talking about pretty voice privilege, which is a thing. So me and my friend were at this frat party, and she sees this gaggle of frat boys, and she's like, ooh, that one's cute, I'm gonna go get him. And I was like, you do you, sis. Mind you, my friend is gorgeous. She's not like an Instagram model like I'm trying so desperately to be, but she's like Wilhelmina could sign her tomorrow. She's stunning. So she makes her way over there, and she does by far the sexiest thing I've ever seen a woman do. They don't even see her. She just walks up behind a guy, taps him on the shoulder, whispers in his ear, and they walk up. And I'm like, teach me. So my drunk confident ass thought I could do it. So I walked up to the dude I wanted, I tapped him on the shoulder, and I whispered, hey baby, you want to get to know each other, in his ear. And when I tell you that he turned around and almost rocked my shit. I didn't take into account that my friend sounds like Princess Peach and a bitch sound like Bowser.
You've had pretty privilege like your whole life. Can you stitch this?
Yeah, girl, let's talk about it. So it's 100% true that pretty privilege does exist. And yes, it is absolutely rude how when people find you attractive, they're generally just nice to you for that reason and that reason only. Until you are a woman in a power position who steps into a male-dominated industry. And then you might as well be carrying around a tray with coffee and snacks. Pretty privilege actually becomes nearly the opposite, at least in my experience. So I swear the logic is if you're pretty, you have nice hair, you have your makeup done, you have a nice outfit, you possibly could not be in a power position or have any intelligence whatsoever. So for me personally, I work in construction management on multi-million-dollar jobs, and I can't tell you how fun it is to have my emails ignored and people literally talk to my male coworker and just act like I am there to serve them. So yes, while pretty privilege is a thing, it can be switched in the opposite direction.
Okay, tell me you have pretty privilege without telling me that you have pretty privilege. I'll go first. So this actually happened yesterday, and before I get started, I know I'm not like a 10. I'm whatever. So I don't know where to get started. It was very weird. And also, disclaimer, I was literally wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and my hair was a fucking disaster. But pretty much I had a dude come over to set up my internet, like a professional internet installer, and I was literally bitching at him, telling him how shitty his company is, and if it wasn't the only server here, I would have chose somebody else in a heartbeat. And I was also bitching about how Geek Squad never mounted my TV, and he goes, I'll mount your TV. So I kid you not, this man, after he sets up my Wi-Fi, mounts my fucking TV and soundbar, and then he said he's just gonna cancel my internet appointment so I don't get charged. Like for part 2, because there's more.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
Really tends to pop out when you try to get into nightclubs. I was in Glasgow one night and I went to a cocktail bar with my friends. We all had like 2 cocktails each because cocktails in Glasgow are expensive. After we went in line to get into a club. Every single one of my friends got in, except for me. They tried to use the excuse that I was too drunk to get in, even though I was the most sober out of all my friends. I was literally shit scared because I thought I was going to be alone in Glasgow. I don't live there.
so my friends had to flirt with the bouncers to try and get me in. It knocked my confidence the whole night. I didn't speak, I just got drunk, and I cried that night because of it. It's great.
Pedophilia flourishes in a society.
You are absolutely right. And I just made some videos about this and people were trying to argue with me, but you're right. If you haven't seen it already, please go watch the creator's full video because I think it was pretty awesome. And they also highlighted the use of that little potato song. And let's talk about this. In previous videos, I talked about how there's a difference between like pretty and cute privilege versus hot and sexy privilege. And a lot of people were trying to argue that like cute privilege is so much better. No, let me tell you why. Cute privilege comes from babying women, okay? Not seeing them as fully grown adults, just miniature humans. The entire concept of cuteness and being associated with being cute come from showing off childlike qualities. So it could be physical appearance, such as like a baby face, just shorter stature, or like a higher pitched voice and stuff like that. And it's weird. It's pedophilic.
All the hot people. I was told that there would be all these attractive.
So I saw this post and I wanted to say something. I go to a university called yall, and let me tell you, you're gonna probably be the ugliest bitch there and underdressed. Like, some of my friends and like some of the students are literal models who have walked for like high-end brands, been in magazines, like our catalog models. These people are like influencers. Like, I was added into a group chat in my first year to like get to know people. I looked up somebody, they had like 95K on Instagram. I was so shocked. Like, some of these people are just not regular. Like, even when you go into university, you will feel a bit uncomfy just wearing a jean and a top. You know, you have to dress up a little bit when you go in. Like, you're just trying to eat in the cafeteria, eat your meatball marinara, and somebody's wearing a 9-piece suit right next to you.
Hey, if you've had pretty privilege like your whole life, can you stitch this and...
Hello, so I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about this because some of y'all be looking like IG models in real life, but here's my experience. So basically this is how I look like throughout high school. No makeup, my hair's not really done, I haven't really changed much. So first I'm going to talk about my experience with the guys. So basically I've never gotten treated bad by a guy, and I'm not talking about relationships, I'm talking about guys that I'm just meeting or that are my friends. Hearing stories about these unconventionally attractive girls, talking about how guys disrespect them and look over them, it was mind-blowing to hear because I've never had that experience ever. Guys are usually nice to me, and I would say 99% of my guy friends have either found me attractive or wanted to date me. I can usually get guys to do whatever I want if it's reasonable, like if I need them to do this or that or give me money or whatever, like they'll do it. And now recently that I've started wearing makeup and, you know, posting on IG, I've had even more attention from guys that would overlook me in high school. Now they want me.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
Oh boy, here we go. I always have to start conversations with men because they just don't talk to me otherwise. When we go to bars, everyone wants to talk to my friends and never me. What's your friend's Snapchat? Who's your friend? I only get free drinks at the bar if my pretty friend is getting drinks bought for her and those guys feel bad for me. I've had many friends that won't post pictures with me because my look doesn't fit their aesthetic. I've had a few instances that I've been told that I'm fuckable but never dateable. The amount of times that men, even just male coworkers, have walked away while I'm in the middle of a sentence is disgusting. In high school, guys would rate girls on Ask FM, and I'd sometimes make the list, but they make it very clear that it was only because I have big boobs. It's always the boobs.
That beauty is a social construct, which means that it is completely made up but has very...
So this person made a really great point. I've been thinking about the politics of desirability a lot recently. I think this was prompted when I reread one of my favorite books, which is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. And Carmen identifies as a woman of color, as cis, as queer, and most importantly as fat. So there's a part in the book where she describes what a lot of conventionally attractive or thin people might be able to experience that she doesn't get to. And that is a straight line from want to satisfaction, or from desire to manifestation in a reasonable succession. So I think what Carmen is saying here is that for people like her, there is this perpetual feeling of longing, of desire that is not satisfied. And I don't think that she's just talking about unrequited love here. I think this tension of longing without resolution really colors a lot of areas of her life, and that fundamentally human experiences are withheld from her because she's not beautiful.
Tell me you have pretty privilege without actually telling me that you have pretty privilege.
Okay, so it's my friend's 16th birthday. We go to Frankie's to celebrate. Yay, we get on the go-karts. I drop my mask on the track, and they spent like 10 to 15 minutes go getting it for me. I don't know why. But then they come back and they were like, hey, do you guys want another free ride? And I was like, fuck yeah. But my friends were like, nah, we're good. I was like, well, shit. So we go inside and to the arcade. I didn't see this one. This wasn't the guy that gave me the free ride. This was another guy. He gave me 5 tries on the little pick up the stuffed animal game, and then 2 tries for my friends because he was like, yeah, you got bad luck, on his employee card. Bitch, what? Okay, so then like the next week I go to McDonald's, I get 2 free strawberry banana smoothies. Bitch, what? And then I go back to McDonald's like a couple days later, I get free fries. You just get free stuff. And a pretty face doesn't matter unless you have the brains to go along with it. Remember that.
Tell me you don't have pretty privilege without saying, I don't have pretty privilege.
I actually have a lot of these, but let me just share some of my favorites. To start off less specific, when you have to order a drink, you know what I'm talking about. The skinny girl and the pretty girl, you gotta send her up. You gotta send her up. She can get the drinks for everyone because they're not coming to me. And now to get specific, I went out with like 6 of my friends. We were having a good time. They met these guys. It started off with, of course, when he's introducing himself, he just skips right on over me. And he wanted to buy them shots, which, okay, well, he bought 5. There's 6 of us. My friend, who's a baddie, told him she would refuse to take the shot unless he bought one for me, which he did. But why? Why are men like this? Pretty privilege? Ugh. And if you tell me it's not real, you probably have it.
Okay, tell me you have mediocre pretty privilege without telling me you have mediocre pretty privilege. I'll go first. So not to brag or anything, but one time I was at a restaurant and the person working there was like, do you want a free Sprite? It's on the house. And I was like, I guess, yeah.
I feel like being shy, and especially growing up shy, are just one of those things that makes you realise that people will interpret your traits and actions differently depending on whether or not they find you attractive. I wasn't a popular child, and as a teenager I was a little bit weird looking, and therefore at that time I feel like with all genders people kind of interpret you as kind of like a weird little loner, like doesn't have any friends, blah blah blah. But as soon as I kind of grew up and people started to find me attractive and I kind of came out of those awkward phases that I had, it's kind of like, oh my god, she's so cute and shy. So when I was traveling, I was in like the smoking area of a club. An American guy walked up to me and he kind of wouldn't leave me alone. And every time I tried to like blank him or walk away, he was like, what I find so cute about you is how shy you are. Like, I really think that's adorable. And I was like, no, I don't like you. Weirdly, it's so much different for men. Like, they don't get interpreted as cute if they're shy. Sometimes they kind of get interpreted as like sexy and mysterious, or like they're hiding a dreadful secret. And I just get interpreted as like a tiny little child.
If you have pretty privilege at least one time in your life, you have heard, oh my god, I thought you were such a bitch, and then I met you and you're so nice.